Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena with CGB. That's what you can call me. Covert Go Blue is the full name. Daniel Wagner is the birth name, but you can call me CGB. Alright, we've got a white and blue spell quest today, which I'd be down for doing. I have a number of good white and blue spells and decks I like for that, but I'm going to re-roll it because it's only a 225, and if you can try to get a higher number, you should. 300, and now we went from cast 12 blue-white spells to win 2 games with a blue-white deck. So let's get into the deck builder and make a blue-white deck. So I lean towards control. I think it's just the most interesting gameplay, but you can build a blue-white token deck that is pretty good against the red decks that are out there. So blue-white tokens or blue-white control. I think for a change-up, we'll try the token build. It's a decent meta deck in that it gives red a hard time and it gives blue-black a hard time. So I think it's worth giving a shot to. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these guys. It is kind of a go-wide thing. The Embalm is sort of a big payoff for it. Maybe we'll come back for those. Same thing for Slash of Talons if we want that tech. Life gain and just pressure is really good, even though this doesn't do much with the token theme, so I don't know if we keep that or if we run Martyr of Dusk as another option. So we're just going to take it one card at a time and try to figure it out. We probably want plenty of Embalm, so I'll even consider a card like the Duelist. I do love Desert's Hold, but I don't love it. It will be on the chopping block if we fill up. Whether or not to do a Queen's Commission type effect. We only have one Anointed Procession, so doing a ton of tokens I'm not sure makes sense, whereas a Sunscourge Champion with Eternalize is probably more valuable to us. And I don't think Radiant Destiny is going to work out as we're not a particular tribe, although we could pick Mummy, or Zombie, as I've seen done with all of our Eternalized cards. Bringing them back as zombies could be interesting with the Destiny. Still, I don't think that's quite the way. I'm going to throw an Initiate, an Anointed Procession. We'll definitely want our Cast Outs, and we'll want our Ixalan's Binding. We may want to Settle the Wreckage. What is Vizier of the True? Whenever you exert, tap a creature. Meh. Sanctions all the way, plenty of Embalm value, Regal Caracal, and potentially a Crested Sunmare. Don't get carried away. We're not going all the way up to an Approach of the Second Sun this time, but that is what the control deck would be if we were doing our control build. I wonder if a Proven Combatant is just a ridiculous idea. Seems like a ridiculous idea. I'm still going to keep it around. Let's see what else. Chart of Course seems to be right at home here. It might make sense to have an Essence Scatter or 2 so that Glorybringer doesn't kill us. Labyrinth Guardian is another Eternalized card that may get cut, may not. Just want to see it in the end result. I tried Search for Azcanta in this build and it just didn't do enough. Even if when you got to bin an Embalm creature, it didn't feel good. Compared to Strategic Planning, which is top 3 cards hitting the bin. Of course, Champion of Wits is right at home in this type of deck. And what else can we grab? Who else wants to play? Who else wants to play in the blue-whites? There's an Eternalize here that requires you to discard a card. It's only 3 mana, and it can get pumped. It's an interesting little card. Might be better than some of the other ones, but I'm not sure it's actually good, so to speak. The fact that you have to discard a card to do it makes it pretty rough. Who else? Kumena's Awakening could be a lot of fun to just keep the gas coming, and since we don't have another Anointed Procession, it's kind of a fill-in. Vizier is, and Glyph Keeper is good for that. And I think that's about it. Failure to comply. Return target spell to its owner's hand, so you can only hit a spell on the stack, and then comply is they can't play it for another turn. But this actually isn't what I would call a legit card. Temid is probably a decent Eternalized card compared to a lot of things we're playing. Farm to Market's a decent card as well, as the market side can help us continue to get through the deck. And it's very tempting, but you could run the tiniest little splash of black and have a Scarab God. But it is a win with a blue-white deck, so this would ruin the quest. So nope, out I say. You shall not pass. Moving right along the lines. I mean, Treasure Map, I don't know, but Sorcerer's Spyglass is interesting in the meta. It can turn off Ramunap Ruins, it can turn off Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, it can turn off Scarab God. So I'm more tempted to try this than usual, and maybe it'll hold up, but it's interesting right now in a way that it wasn't really interesting in Ixalan. I also like Oketra's Monument for a deck like this. I think 1 is the right number. I don't think I'd play many more. I also think we're going to end up on 26 lands and plenty of deserts, because you really need to hit your land drops. You pretty much want to walk up to 7 in this deck, and I think to fill those land spots, there's nothing wrong with an Arch of Orazca here. So what does that leave us in Land Town? 5 and 3. We can probably go up a little bit on sources. Let's count our sources on blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. Not that many, huh? Let's see. Try that again. Did I miss something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's not nearly enough. We definitely want to get at least to 14, so we may have to cut some things. How about white? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11. And there is 15. I'd like that to be at 16 as it's the most popular color, but 15 is okay. So that gets us at 28 land. So maybe I do have to cut the colorless sources. Field of Ruin is sort of close to a source, but fortunately I think Arch can go. We probably have enough built-in value that we don't need it, and I guess the other one can be this extra Desert of the True, as we do want enough untapped sources. Wait, that was our 26th land. So, 1, 2, how about tapped lands? We're on 10. I never want to go over 10. Alright, that'll do then. We'll try that out. And how's our curve? Our curve is mostly 2s and then a lot of flatness. So our curve's not too bad, and we have 11 cards to cut. And Proven Combatant, I think, is an easy one. Glorybound Initiate doesn't really synergize with the rest of the deck and gets killed by Fanatical Firebrand, making it kind of a loser. I don't think Martyr of Dusk quite fits. Magma Spray obviously is a bit of an issue, although it does. There are other cards that could be Magma Sprayed, like Magma Spray fodder. Still, I don't know if I need it. Our creature counts at 26, that's really high. So that's probably where we're cutting. So I think I'll start with the Martyr of Dusk and keep doubling down on Embalm and Eternalize, the Graveyard Synergy, and try not to cut those till the end. Unwavering Initiate, though, he's no Sunscourge Champion, he's no Champion of Wits, so he probably doesn't deserve to be here. I think around 20 creatures is optimal for a deck like this. There are a good number of 5s and 4s, but that's what we have all the mana for, to make sure we can cast these, and they are an important part of the deck. So I think we have to get rid of a few cards here. Treasure Map being 1, Spyglass being 1, just a little dirtly, not doing too much. Can we go down on an Essence Scatter and maybe just have 1 for the perfect moment, or are we supposed to cut Desert's Hold? I think we sort of like Desert's Hold, though, in that spot of just bridging and giving us some life, and another way to stop the Scarab God, Kumena, things of that nature. So maybe it's time to cut a few of these less great cards. I kind of like Labyrinth Guardian better than Temet, but he's legendary. Going to 1 is no problem. But do we go 0? Duelist is almost better because of the cheaper Eternalized cost. I guess he's got to go. Hurts a bit. Is that all? Alright, 20 creatures. So now we're looking for a spell. I like Farm to Mark. It's extra value. I have no interest in cutting the cast outs, the bindings, the settle. I really like the Awakening and at least want to try it for the fun. So I think we'll just go down to 1 Essence Scatter as kind of a gotcha. And that's our blue-white token build. Some of you might be curious how to get the full art lands in Arena. Well, I've got a special show just for you. So, we search for planes, and we go to our filters, and we hit reset. And then voila, look at all this stuff. Let's get, now you add this to the deck, and I'm going to bump it up to 5 and bump the original number back to 0. Let's do the same thing with Island. Hit filters, hit reset, click away. Yay! Add the islands we want. They're so pretty. And now you can be one of those full art land masters, right? Oh. Alright, let's go see if we can win 2 freaking games and complete our quest with the blue-white token deck. And we are playing against the Mana Leak, who has been running a variety of blue and blue-white type cards in Arena every time I've played against the Mana Leak. And let's do it. Is it a popular YouTube creator? Maybe. That would make sense for the name. But you never know. I play against an innovator. I thought for sure it must be Patrick Chapin, but I believe it's somebody else now because I saw them on the forums. It's like, who else uses that name? Well, you never know in Arena. Opponent, the Mana Leak on red. He's turned to the dark side. What is this? Alright. Well, let's put out the Guardian. If he has a Magma Spray, this will go to the graveyard, not get exiled. It has to be the target of a spell, not an ability, which is what I see on that Firebrand, and a reason that putting the Priest in front of it won't do good. So good, we get rid of a Magma Spray. And this goes to the grave. That's fine. I'm not going to get too grumpy. And it's good time to explore this red matchup, which I think is decent. I don't think it's like magically fantastical. This guy, Sunscourge Champion, is very good, but Ferocidon can definitely trump it. We also kind of have this endless stream of blockers, but they have cards that can just go over the top. Ah, we're pirates. We're not red. We are pirates. It often seems the same because of the cheap drops. Yeah, no problem. See, this going to the graveyard means we can bring it back by discarding our Anointer Priest, which has Embalm as well. So it's not like we're losing a ton of value or anything. And we get a 4/4 and 4 life, which can now go toe-to-toe with the Daring Buccaneer. Cannonade and another Magma Spray, perhaps? In which case is a 2-for-1 in its own way. So, no big deal. 5 mana. Trying to figure out how to get the life for this Sunmare without a cat. This Priest will do it, but we need a way to make a token and have the Sunmare on the battlefield. Maybe I just splash the Sunmare, but then he can attack into it and also throw the Firebrand at it. So we'll go with the Angel. And we'll take away the Cutlass, because he can just move it to a different creature if we take away the buck. And let's see how much burn our opponent has to deal with the Angel here. One more untapped land and it comes back anyway, so I think we're doing a pretty good job keeping in the value game, as opponent is 2-for-1ing again to get their Cutlass back, which it gets a free attack and a free equip, so it's not the end of the world, but here we go again. And this time I'll just take the Buccaneer itself, because I don't want to. He's down to, I don't see another pirate. He'll surely draw one, but making him pay to equip is fine, and I wouldn't be able to block this anyway because I'd fear a Magma Spray or something like it. And let's see, is it, okay, we're equipping the Firebrand. Are we attacking? Because I'll block. Alright, that gives away that he doesn't have a spray or something of that nature. But I don't really want to spend a lot of time blocking with this Angel. If I just put out the Sunmare and don't get a token, that's kind of annoying, but what are we on? We're going up to 7 mana. Next turn we could Priest and Embalm the same turn to gain life, or we could Priest to gain life. So I guess getting the Sunmare on the battlefield is a good play. I'm not going to block with the Angel, so we'll attack with that. And here we go. Get ready, horsey. Your move. I'm unlikely to block with this, just because keeping it around is very good, and it's hard for our opponent to kill it with one spell. A Reaver Ambush will get back the Buccaneer. Okay. Did it. If we bring this back, we'll gain a life. If we bring this back, we'll gain another, but I could also save it for next turn to make sure that we keep gaining life. And I think that's a good idea. So what we're going to do is bring back the Priest. Play the other Dunes and say go. And we're saving this one again for next turn, so we have another life gain trigger to make another horse. And here they come. The stampede begins. The neck breaker. Well, in he comes. This is indestructible, and this doesn't kill it. So that's a bit of an oops. He's tapped out. I don't think he can get me. Yeah. Not our opponent's finest hour. We'll gain a life again. We'll pump the team. Slight mistap there. We didn't have to take a damage. We ended up taking a damage. All attack. And another horse because of this entering the battlefield triggering. And Neckbreaker's just coming in. My opponent believes in attacking to the end. That's the proper pirate attitude. Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate life for he. But the victory goes to tokens. Alright, 200 gold, and pump it up. It's a Vizier of Tumbling Sands. But we have enough for a pack, so right here, let's buy a pack for the YouTube squad. Hour of Devastation is what I've been picking at. I still think it's the right move. I think it has the most good cards right now. And I'd recommend it once you've kind of tricked out a Merfolk deck or a deck that relies on a specific set, if you are doing that. And here goes a common wild card and an uncommon wild card, so I'm already pretty happy. Sunset Pyramid is a very dirtly little thing. It can draw you 3 cards and then scry, but I don't think it's quite the constructed playable. It's 4 mana to draw your first card. It only works 3 times. You can do better. And our mythic, nope, not a mythic. Our rare is Aeronis' Last Stand, which for 2 mana making a 5/4 is good, but lands not untapping is not that good, and this card just hasn't quite made the cut yet anywhere. Doesn't mean we can't try it at some point. And we've got some wild cards to use, so that'll be fun later. But for now, let's get back into the game with the tokens deck. And this hand is slow, but hopefully strategic planning can get us some drops and we go first, so I'm going to try it. Regal Caracal is such a good card if you are against the red deck that you can often keep a slow hand and still sort of be in the game. You can't go overboard, of course. They will get you. But it looks like we're not against a red deck, we're against blue. I always prepare for red because it's the biggest part of the meta right now, but there's plenty of other decks lurking around. Decks with Scarab God, for example. So here we can take the field and we can get value by dumping 2 Eternalized cards into our graveyard, so I like that. I strongly recommend just dropping them off. The field is particularly handy against decks trying to generate value that way, and maybe we're up against a cycling deck. This cast out could be very helpful. Plus it's let me cycle these deserts without feeling bad about it. Chart, of course, off the top is interesting. I say we fire that right up and see what happens. What cards do we get? Alright, we have a Sacred Cat to discard. We could Embalm it this turn, but I think I'm just going to play a tap Desert instead and keep our mana development good. I don't feel any need to race right now. But our graveyard is stocking up with useful things. Our hand is hitting its land drops. Our opponent is cycling a Vile Manifestation. +1/+0 for each card with cycling in your graveyard. So definitely some kind of a cycling deck, probably a Drakehaven-y thing. What are we doing for 4 mana? I think bringing back the Sunscourge Champion is good. I can discard Farm to Market since I'm not being attacked by anything. And I like to keep the Dunes a secret, so we'll play the field. And come on out, champ. We'll make a 4/4. And you can see the graveyard, like when this thing's humming using Chardacore Strategic Planning, discarding Farm to Market and then flashing it back, we're just putting more graveyard value in the graveyard while bringing out big monsters. It's very good for us. Very happy. Cycle that Censor, indeed. You can't censor an Embalm or Eternalize ability. I don't know. Our opponent's starting to dig as they're now up against a 4/4 that they could not counter. Let's see if they find an answer to it. So this turn's interesting. With our opponent leaving mana up, I think I'm going to attack. If they tap mana to do anything, we can play the Caracal. And if they don't tap mana to do anything, we can bring back the Pouncer and continue to make a great board. That can't be countered, so let's get them. And damage is in. This is very frustrating. I've been on the control side of this many times. This is very frustrating for a control player, for the opponent to be able to tap out and make big monsters that they cannot counter. So if they're sitting on Cancel, Essence Scatter, Winds, like Prevailing Wind, or whatever Winds it is, the one that cycles, they're just feeling very sad. And it's a Supreme Will, searching for some kind of a removal spell, surely. And then if they tap mana for the removal spell, then down come the kitties. Meow. And if they just tap out for a Scarab God, Desert Soul would cast out, something brutal of that nature. And here's an Entrancing Melody, which is probably one of the more annoying things that could have happened, especially since it also leaves counterspell mana open. So what is our play this turn? Well, we need to get rid of this, or at least keep it from doing anything. So I think we can go for a Desert's Hold on it. If the Desert's Hold is countered, that is sad. We could also go for a Cast Out or a Binding, and if it's countered, next turn we have Desert's Hold and Cast Out or Binding, whereas this turn, if we play the Hold, the only other things we can really do are Embalm a Cat or use the Market, and I don't really want to lose my hand too much, so I don't know. I feel like the Cast Out, we can try to Cast Out on our opponent's upkeep to use their mana next turn, and then if they counter that, we untap and hopefully play something along the lines of Ixalan's Binding. So I guess I like that play. We can also bring back our Sacred Cat in the meantime to not truly lose our turn. So I'm going to go ahead and play this tapped, since we're not going to need it this turn. I'm going to... Ooh, never mind. I'm not going to bring back the cat. I'm going to play around Censor. And so what we're going to do is we're going to mark their upkeep for a stop. We want to use mana on their turn, not on ours, where we can. So we're going to pass the turn, but before their draw step. And the reason we do it then is so that they don't have a chance to draw a counter spell off the top if they don't have one right now. So before their draw step, we're going to cast the Cast Out and try to target our little token here. So let's see if this resolves. Okay, and down goes Kitty. All right, Kitty down. And now they get their draw step. So just hopefully, for those of you who ever wondered why you would, wait and use a flash spell on a draw step because they had open mana previously, that's a good reason. Here's a Champion of Wits. Let's see what our opponent wants to discard here. It does imply to me that they don't have a cancel. I would probably defend a 4/4 double striker if I could in this spot. And they discard a Tetsamok and a Search for Azcanta, giving the impression that their hand must be pretty good indeed. And now they leave mana up, which can probably mean a negate. Maybe perhaps a Moment of Craving. I think that I don't want this to go to the graveyard. I don't want to risk it Eternalize. It is a decent card to hit with Ixalan's Binding, but I'd rather hit Drakehaven or Scarab God even more, so I think I'll try the Desert's Hold in this spot. If there is a negate, we can follow with an Ixalan's Binding if we truly want to. And it resolves. And let's try attacking with our 4/4. I get the impression our opponent is holding an Essence Scatter. We could see if they want to play it on the Labyrinth Guardian, or we could flash back our cat and our Market. I kind of like using the Market here, as we can just put the Labyrinth Guardian in the graveyard and avoid counterspells altogether. One could say we could try to open a door for this Caracal, but I'd rather get deeper in the deck, I think. So it's tempting to play the Dunes first. I don't really want to discard this. I want to have it available, so we'll do that. I'm going to gamble that I'll draw another land off this Market or something else to discard, so I don't have to discard one of the cards I really like to keep a card. Alright, there is another land and the Guardian. So we'll discard those. We'll hang on to this Baffling End. We might have another champion to target, and we'll bring back a Sacred Cat. All done in an order so we don't get censored. That's why the cat came last. It can't be countered. And again, probably annoying the hell out of our opponent. They might use a Moment of Craving on this kitten, but I suppose that would be fine. Yep. We have to assume their hand is very good. I mean, you don't discard these cards unless you like your hand. So we probably still have a long way to go here, even though I like our position. And our opponent may be tapping mana on their turn. What is coming out? It is the Scarab God. So we wore him down, but our opponent's going to be very unhappy to find that we were prepared. It does leave us without anything else to do for our turn, which is unfortunate, but it's hard to get a better turn than this. Just heartbreaking. I've been on the other side of it. Just shattering dreams, especially if our opponent has multiple Scarab Gods. It's like, oh, my Mythic, taken away by an uncommon that's free with the deck box. No! Alright, let's see if our opponent has anything to do with our zombie. If not, we'll probably just bring back the Lab Guardian. If so, if they tap mana, we can cast the Awakening or the Caracal. I guess I'll leave this field up in this situation, because we may find a reason to use it on our opponent's turn. And then I'll just hold on to the... I guess if I play it, we have an opportunity to double spell if we draw a land. So I guess I'm playing my land this turn. A Hieroglyphic Illumination may open the door for an Awakening. Doesn't get around Censor. Doesn't get around Censor, though. This thing can be game over, though, if it resolves. I'm going to wait. I'm going to continue waiting here. If our opponent wants to target the Guardian, there goes a Countervailing Winds cycled. Wish I could cast it now, but we are on my end step, so no dice. If they Moment of Craving this, it goes to the graveyard, but it gets sacrificed when it's targeted, so they don't gain life. So that's helpful. And here's a Glyph Keeper for the opponent. So they've got a blocker, sorta. And we don't have a way to target at this point, but we do probably get to resolve some of our other cards here. I think what I'll do is try for a Sunscourge Champion, and if it fails, go for a Caracal. We could always just bring back the Sunscourge Champion too, which is very, very frustrating for opponents. But do I just attack here and make him eternalize the Glyph Keeper? I think I do, and if he blocks over here, he goes to 2. Seems good. I don't think I want to actually offer him the Guardian, though. I'll just offer him a trade here with the Glyph Keeper, which he can pay 7 to bring back, which taps him very low and lets us resolve our spells. So, fun little cat and mouse game. And then we'll see if our opponent wishes to counter this champion. There was a case for activating a Shefet Dunes that turn, and then our opponent's Glyph Keeper dies blocking either creature and they go to 3, but I don't really want to give up my lands in this spot. Alright, do I wait another turn here on deploying one of these? Does our opponent have negate? Would they have used it? They could certainly have a negate given their hand. And they're going to have to tap a lot of mana next turn, so I think waiting is the prudent thing. And here comes something. It is a Moment of Craving. Again, no life gain though. Resolves. And end turn. So now, perhaps bringing back the Glyph Keeper, good opportunity to get a Caracal. Oh, well, hello. You're not who I expected to show up. Let's see here. Can bring back a Tetsamok. Can bring back a few things. And the Glyph Keeper. It's a good choice. Alright. Desert of the True. We could activate the Dunes and attack either Liliana or the opponent and make the Glyph Keeper block. Unfortunately, though, it just goes back to the graveyard where it can be eternalized. However, keeping the opponent's mana busy might be a very good call. But I don't think that's where we want to be in this one. I think it's time. I think we just have to go for some of these cards. Which is too bad. I never did get enough mana to double spell with them. Let's try... The other thing, though, is I can just bring this back. If they block it, I can discard, say, the Baffling End and make a 4/4. But the Baffling End can take out a zombie, so it's not useless. I think it's time to try for the Awakening. Unfortunately, our opponent put us in a bit of a bind with that Liliana. So let's see if this resolves. It does. It does. Let's cycle this Desert of the True. See if we hit a land drop. And it's a Sacred Cat. It is something I could discard to the champion, but I don't think that's the plan yet. I think we'd rather have more bodies. And we'll say go. Perhaps I wasn't aggressive enough this game. I really felt like time was on my side, and it still may be. But I don't like giving my opponent kind of this opportunity to stabilize, so I feel like there was some mistakes left in there. My opponent certainly played as if they had negate, and I still think they have something like an Essence Scatter, but they apparently don't have a cancel, and they apparently don't have a negate. Their hand is thinning out. It looks like they've hit a mana pocket. So I'm curious to see what's left. If it's another Scarab God, of course, that's very good. And it's a Vile Manifestation, a 7/4 for just 2 mana, but the Baffling End can help with that. And let's rip some extra cards, a Glyph Keeper of our own, and a Vizier of Many Faces. Oh my. Oh my, oh my. So many options. How do we want to play this Essence Scatter our opponent probably has? I guess the best thing it could hit is the Vizier. So I think we want to do something like that with a Baffling End for the manifestation, and then attacking the Majesty is a good play. So do we want to make our opponent tap mana first or last? Let's see if they wants to cancel this Baffling End, as it's probably the lowest impacty thing. Alright, get rid of that. So now our opponent has a 2/2 pairing up with a cat and a Sunscourge Champion. If we sacrifice Shefet Dunes, we can kill Liliana. And that still plays around Essence Scatter, and of course gets we can't kill Liliana, we can knock it to 1, so maybe that's not that worth it. Let's see. So if we're gonna have him counter something, I guess the best thing to counter would be, yeah, Vizier. So I'm gonna start by attacking Liliana here. As keeping her from getting another card back, I think, is the best use of our creatures right now. Alright. Now let's colorless, colorless, and play Vizier of Many Faces. See if our opponent wishes to counter this. If we get that out of their hand, maybe a Caracal comes along. So there's the Essence Scatter that we've probably played around for a very long time. And we'll bring back our cat and say go, possibly paving the way for this Caracal. Alright, +1, here come your zombies. And a Moment of Craving and a land hit the graveyard. Here comes a Glyph Keeper. Down to 20. And there is Oketra's Monument. Oh boy. And a Champion of Wits. So we're still on 8 mana. I like the idea of going for a Caracal and a Monument here as it plays around Censor. I'll go for this first. Okay. We also can play the uncounterable Vizier and have a Glyph Keeper. That's pretty cool. Do I still attack you? He has to block. If he double blocks, I get back a 4/4. But I don't really want to do that this turn. I don't think it's worth it. We're going to bring back the Vizier. Yes, we are. And no attacks. And now I've got one. Now our opponent can just block here and get theirs back, but that does tick the Liliana's loyalty back down, and they hit 2 spells this time off the mill. I think what's going to be important in this game is just continuing to use our mana, a lot of it every turn, to keep the opponent under pressure, and they are going to attack. Interesting. What is the next card going to be? Perhaps they have a way to deal with our Glyph Keeper. So this turn is going to be interesting. Probably the last card out of the hand will be Sacred Cat, but we might go for Regal Caracal and Champion of Wits. Probably Champion of Wits first. We could do that pre-combat, but I don't think I would get anything that would change our play. So let's see what our opponent does about this Glyph Keeper attack. going for Liliana here. It could bring our opponent to 1. Ooh. They're not holding much. That's interesting. Alright. So Liliana down. I did not expect that to actually work. And let's play Champ of Wits. Oketra's Monument will make us a soldier. And our opponent thinking about that Essence Scatter that they probably have. And they will. Okay. Which Champ, of course, will be a very fun Eternalize. But now we will go for Caracal. See if our opponent has yet the 4th Essence Scatter, because we know there were 2 in the graveyard. Okay, that resolves. Now we'll go for Sacred Cat. Now they might have a Golden Demise. We've seen one hit the bin. That, of course, would not be fun. And do I hold this Desert of the True? I think I will. But opponent is facing down an army now, and they've had enough. So, 350 more gold, Bonded Horncrest, quest complete. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back for more in the future, and try this deck out. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.